Hey, welcome back. Every month, we are taking one story connected to homelessness in America and doing a deep dive into that topic.
This month's story is one that's easy to miss because it surrounds one of the biggest, most watched sporting events in the world. The cameras are pointed at the games, but a societal shift takes place alongside them.
There's a long history of cities clearing out their homeless populations before major sporting events. Most notably, it has happened at every Olympics since the 1980s. And the topic coming back around ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup across 16 cities in North America.
We're going to show you the history of the issue, how it's developed over decades, and what it looks like on the ground today. If you're not subscribed to the City Relief weekly newsletter yet, the link is below. Let's get into it. Every few years, a city gets chosen to host the world. In the weeks and months before the opening ceremony, the host city cleans itself up. And the people who can't be cleaned up, the people sleeping in parks, under overpasses, or in tent cities near the venues, they get moved out of sight. This is not a new story, and it's not an accident when it happens. It's planned and happening for nearly 40 years.
To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the 1980s. In preparation for the 1980 Moscow Olympics, the Soviet government forcibly evicted anyone visibly suffering from substance abuse outside of the city's limit. In 1984, police aggressively swept Black and Latino homeless encampments near Olympic venues and banned public camping. In 1988, South Korean authorities evicted and wiped out entire communities in an effort to beautify the city, leading to protests where several died and where hundreds were injured. The pattern of using the spectacle as cover would be repeated, refined, and exported to every major sporting event that followed.
In Beijing, for the 2008 Games, an estimated 1.5 million people were displaced. Demolitions were so aggressive and protests became so dangerous that self-immolation became common enough that the Chinese government passed laws specifically against suicide protests. Homelessness in Vancouver nearly tripled in the years surrounding the 2010 Games as rents spiked and cheap hotels were converted for Olympic visitors. Police were granted new powers to forcibly transport homeless people to shelters, a law critics called the Olympic Kidnapping Act. For the 2016 Games hosted by Rio de Janeiro, private security guards conducted sweeps that sent homeless people to shelters, sometimes as far as 50 miles outside of the city. People living in favelas that had nothing to do with the Games were evicted. The mayor of Rio said openly, "The Olympic pretext is awesome. I need to use it as an excuse for everything."
One of the clearest examples of this was for the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. Between May 1995 and May 1996, the year leading up to the Atlanta Olympics, the city arrested over 9,000 homeless people. That's 4 times the normal arrest rate. Roughly 30,000 low-income Atlantans were evicted or displaced. 2,000 public housing units were demolished. Fulton County bought one-way bus tickets and required homeless people to sign agreements not to return to the city.
The one-way bus tickets are not a metaphor. They exist in the historical record, and they show that the displacement was a goal of preparing for the Olympics. And now, with the 2026 FIFA World Cup approaching, it's happening again. Vancouver is one of 16 host cities. As a requirement for hosting, FIFA requires that all plans prevent and mitigate the displacement of unsheltered populations. And while some cities like Seattle and Kansas City have stepped up their shelter bed numbers and housing access, Vancouver has made no commitments to implementing any plans before the game begins.
And there's now a legal framework. It makes it all of this significantly easier. In June 2024, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in Grants Pass v. Johnson that municipal camping bans do not violate the Constitution, even when applied to people who have nowhere else to go.
The Supreme Court is tackling its biggest case on homelessness in more than 40 years, as cities and towns across the country struggle to deal with more and more people living on the streets.
Before this ruling, cities in 9 western states were legally restrained from arresting people simply for sleeping outside when no shelter was available. That protection, it's gone. Within a year of the ruling, More than 320 bills criminalizing homelessness had been introduced across the country. Roughly 220 of them passed. The legal environment heading into the 2026 World Cup is the most permissive for displacement it has ever been. Event-driven displacement, it's not a failure of planning. It's a choice made deliberately and repeatedly that the appearance of a city matters more than people actually living in it. The same logic is operating every time a city council approves a beautification initiative tied to a major event. And the displacement doesn't solve anything. Research proves that sweeps scatter people, destroy the fragile connections between outreach workers and individuals who are close to accepting help, and increase overdose deaths and hospitalizations. The people don't disappear. They just move somewhere the cameras aren't pointing.
At City Relief, we do outreach in cities that host major events. And what we've seen over and over is how encampment sweeps dismantle thousands of people's hopes for progress towards stability. People we've been building trust with for months suddenly can't be found. Their stuff is gone, and they're forced to start over somewhere new.
The world is going to be watching 16 cities in 2026. That's an opportunity, not just for FIFA, not just for host cities, but for anyone paying attention. What happens to the people who were there before the cameras actually arrived?
The question we want to leave you with is this: are we willing to accept a dynamic where sports events mean more than people's lives? And what does it say about us if we are?
We're back next month with episode 4. And if you want to stay connected between episodes, the City Relief newsletter is the best place to do that. Free, weekly, and goes deeper than any video can. The link is below.
We'll see you next month.